undefeated, ranked #1 in the country. The senior from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Luke Pletcher. And getting the nod tonight for Iowa is Carter Happel out of Lisbon, Iowa. Normally it's Max Murin here at 141, but quick shot there from Happel off the whistle.
That wasn't able to keep a hold of it there. It looks like that was a takedown, and it ended up being a takedown anyway. Nice little mat return. Whoa, there by Pletcher, but yeah, it was a good shot there by Happel. Young man's 4-time state champion out of Lisbon, Iowa, coached by Brad Smith, the national champion from Iowa, and then one of the most successful high school wrestling coaches in the state of Iowa, 647 dual wins.
And he just broke the record.
Yep, he did, and man has coached like four-time state champions. Probably likely to coach 5. Young man, actually Cale Happel is going for his 4th title this year for Lisbon. So
Pletcher, 2-time All-American, 4th a couple of times. Picked up his 100th victory in a Buckeyes singlet last Sunday in Illinois. Beat Dylan Duncan 12-5. And I have just been so impressed, as have you, Jim. This guy, Luke Pletcher, is the total package.
Well, what impressed me about him last year is that those matches that he had with Roman Bravo Young, where Bravo Young was able to go ahead and scramble out of some of these deep high crotch and lifts moves that he had, but the adjustment that he made on his finish, where he was able to climb up the, as he's bringing him down to the mat, and he was able to go ahead and make the adjustment on that. And now you see him with that adjustment. He's taking guys to their back and holding them to their back, because he's on his high crotch finish. He's basically going up to the chest, right? So you take away a lot of the flunk when you do that on a good finish. And Pletcher his wrestling is continuing to evolve into a really tough championship style.
Won the Cliff Keen, beat Mitch McKee of Minnesota 10-6. Might wrestle him again on Sunday. We'll have that match, Ohio State and Minnesota, from Minneapolis Sunday evening. Here on BTN, 4-1. Couple of takedowns for Pletcher, 59 seconds here in the first. I've just been so impressed, Jim, watching Pletcher. He's so solid in all positions. Great on his feet. Spoke about those mat returns before. He's able to do that. He's able to get gritty when he needs to.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of guys that impress us at this time of year. When sometimes you get guys that are 1 rank, but there's going to be a period of time, in the tournament. We talk about those 3 days in March where you're trying to, really be remembered for is winning a title, and he's been there. He's actually gone through the consolation rounds, doing a lot of the tough wrestling on the backside of the bracket. It'd be interesting to see how he's going to be able to wrestle in that front side of the bracket, being the #1 seed possibly at the end of the year. But, there's going to be a point in the tournament where you get tight. Things aren't easy. Guy's not cooperating with all your technique, or he's scouted you out, or it's just a natural for your style. And for all these guys that have that #1 ranking, how do you respond to that? And that's because it's coming. That day's coming, and how do you work your way through that? And the thing I like about him is that he can scramble.
Exactly.
When he gets guys getting on the leg, and he's got good offense, and he's got the old attitude of John Smith, score and keep scoring.
One of the better scrambles I've seen all year was in that win against Real Woods inside the Cavelli Center. Beat him in sudden victory 3-1. Looked like Pletcher was dead to rights, but able to scramble and get the victory over Woods of Stanford.
So that's not going to be an easy match here going forward. That's maybe a style that he has to be concerned about. So watched a little bit of that match as well, particularly the finish, and it was emotional. It'll be, like I said, it's just those 3 days in March, particularly Friday and Saturday. On Friday on moving day, sometimes when you get into the finals, you got a little time to collect yourself and, hey, I'm here, it's within sight, I got 7 minutes, I can go ahead. Not worried about him with that part of it, it's just getting there,
Makes you truly appreciate just how difficult it is to be at the top of the podium in March.
No doubt. There's a lot of good guys that don't get there, a lot of real tough guys that don't get there for whatever reason. And some of them go on to have fantastic international careers, some of them become great coaches, but they never forget their opportunity. That's what's so cool about this. You just have a limited amount of time to do it, and here we are seeing one of the best wrestlers at this weight class now. It looks like he's got all the skill set, but there will be that time where it gets tough, and how do you get through that? Prepare yourself for it.
Posts and attacks Pletcher. Whizzer from the Hawkeye Happel. Pletcher leading at 5-2, make it 7-2 following the takedown.
Yeah, and just kind of like what we saw with Decatur, you see that Happel's giving up a few takedowns here, is not even really kind of responding once he gets in on the leg. His wrestling is sporadic.
Pletcher putting up a ton of points. 11 of 18 bonus point victories.
Yeah, isn't he averaging like almost 8-point differential? Averages can be deceiving. That match against Woods is probably the one he's thinking about. You know, how can I create separation on that?
Well, you look at him against guys in the top 10. Another attack there. He's done well against those guys. You widen that out to the top 25. He's outscored those guys 126-49, plus 77.
Yeah, and this is just a straight-on shot time here. He senses that Happel's having a difficulty keeping his stance there. So, you know, sometimes the best thing to do is just try to add your lead. Just shoot from distance. Don't get caught up in a tie-up, and that's what you see Pletcher doing. And there's his buddy right there. Those two guys are really tight.
Colin Moore.
Yeah.
Both those guys will look to end their careers in style in Minneapolis inside U.S. Bank Stadium. Hoping to get about 45, 50,000 rabid fans.
If there's not 20,000 Iowans there, I'd be disappointed. You know, talk about this for a second. You saw the graph or the vignette that we did with all the championship trophies. Okay, it's been 10 years.
They're getting restless, Jim.
They're not, I wouldn't say restless, but they sense it coming. This is the team, and you see the momentum building. And Iowa fans are used to going to Minnesota for football games, basketball games, and wrestling meets and all that. It's not a big trip for them, and the fact that they got a chance to win a championship in that big stadium there, I mean, a memorable event. They're going to show up, and they're going to try to take over that town. Is the rest of the NCAA wrestling field ready for not only the Iowa team, but that fan base which will be into every call.
Exactly. A lot of black and gold to be in Minneapolis. Here's Happel on a shot. But Pletcher, again, solid in all positions, so tough to finish on.
That little shin whizzer going right there. Notice how he's pushing into his opponent,
yes,
though.
The pressure in.
Yeah, pressuring in to be able to kick out when it feels loose.
And you look at Pletcher's core. It's one thing to get to his legs. It's a completely different story to finish on Luke Pletcher.
Yeah. 10-4 score.
Guy looks like he could squat a couple of refrigerators at the same time. That low center of gravity, explosive.
You know, he's a runner. You see him before matches. He does puts in a lot of road work there. Stall warning there. Gets actually a 3-point exchange there with the warning and the takedown.
Now 13-4. Approaching that 1 minute of riding time.
But you know, he's a runner, and so what's funny about all that is that his guy has gone up a weight class. You say, well, why is he running? You know, he's not cutting as much weight or anything like that, but that's how he trains. And so where that's going to help him is not so much, you know, it's helping him with the conditioning, but it's also the difference between not getting sore between matches, having that quick recovery time. And the guy that puts in the road work can usually recover a lot quicker than ones that don't work on that.
Happel works to his feet and escapes. But with the riding time point, it's going to be a 14-5 major decision for Luke Pletcher of Ohio State. Improves to 19-0 in this his senior campaign.